we better start by saying, what are spiritual health and sickness? I mean, is it the same thing as physical health? Are there microbes? What is the whole mechanism? Or the physical body gets sick and it might die. Is that what spirituality, is that what the spiritual side of it is? So we're going to take a look here at spiritual health, spiritual sickness, and how we can move between them. So here's a little chart that we have. Let's look first at spiritual health. This is spiritual health, and spiritual health will be a condition in which, in the spirit, God is present and God is sending in love and wisdom, which are the good impulses of neighborly love, the true ideas about spiritual life and God, and that is moving unfettered into the spirit. That's when our mind is happy and the mind is the spirit. That's when we're in the heavenly state, which is divine order, which is health. However, there can be spiritual sickness as well. This is when hell is moving in with evil and falsity. Swedenborg says all unrest is from evil and falsity. These are things that are outside the divine design. They're not in order. Cravings, harmful impulses, justifications, distorted thinking, all the stuff that messes up a mind, messes up a spirit. So how do we get from spiritual sickness up to spiritual health? We do that through the process that Swedenborg called regeneration, which is essentially turning to God, doing self-examination and repentance, that kind of thing. That is what leads us back. And we've done several programs about it, but it's sort of a voluntary aspect to this spiritual healing. And there's always this struggle going between spiritual health and spiritual sickness, and our whole life, sort of the progress of our life is in that arc of trying to get from spiritual sickness to spiritual health. And that might seem a bit extreme. Like, why is it always a struggle? Why isn't it just like every 6 months you get a cold or something? Well, actually, that's the way it is physically too. We're just not always aware of it. We had a chat with our good friend Dr. Ed Higgins, who knows about the physical immune system, and he was telling us a little bit about how that principle, that there's always a struggle going on, is playing out inside of us physically all the time. So here's what he had to say.
We think about the immune system overall. It helps me to think about it kind of, this perceptible part that we know when I get sick, and that's here and there, it's occasional. There's the daily imperceptible part that is really, it's working 24/7. We're usually not aware of that, and actually we have no control over that. So that part I couldn't stop if I wanted to. So we're constantly being bombarded by microbes, bacteria, viruses, fungi, a lot of toxins too, so things coming at us. We're built perfectly though to a large extent keep them out. Skin, a nice kind of, microbiologically speaking, thick barrier, dry. It's not a good growing medium. Like, germs like moist areas, so it's a great barrier to keep a lot of stuff out. Mucous membranes protect us wherever we have some kind of connection to the outside world. Nasal passage, throat, urogenital, GI tract passages. Mucous membranes there keep germs out. Germs can get in a little, they get stuck in this thick mucus layer, and that lets our system attack them. That's going on constantly, and we have no idea. So that's kind of keeping the bad guys out. Lots of internal maintenance too, though, always. We have roaming cells that are always looking for damage, debris, so they're gathering garbage, cellular waste that if it built up would be toxic for us. It's constantly being kept in check by the immune system. And then normal maintenance stuff, the bones. Bones are constantly being broken down. Most estimates say we actually build new skeleton about once every 10 years. So roughly 10% of our skeleton changes every year. And I don't know that's going on. It's constantly happening though. So that's all happening kind of background, day to day, and we have no idea any of it's going on. Couldn't stop it if we wanted to. If and when something breaks through, a virus, you get a cold virus, it breaks through. Now that's that more perceptible part. Still the immune system working on our behalf. Most of what we perceive, the symptoms, the runny nose, the cough, that's mostly from the immune system. The virus does what it does, and we'll think, oh, immune system, why'd you let me down? I got sick. Well, the little virus could completely wipe you out if it wasn't kind of held back to where, fine, I get 7 to 10 days of a runny nose, a cough, maybe a fever, but big picture, I'm fighting that off eventually. So that part we notice when it happens. You get a cold 3-4 times a year, maybe, but it's always working in the background, keeping us protected.
And the bones regenerating, every 10 years, or a tenth of it. That I'd never heard that before. That's intense. Anyway, the point of that is that we have these sort of two phases of our physical immune system. There's the constant background struggle to keep homeostasis. Things are trying to get in, things need to get out. That's always going on. We don't usually notice it. And then there are these acute periods where we get ill. And Swedenborg says the same thing is happening on a spiritual level.